Hold. All right, go for it.
Good evening, all. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. I'll be calling to order our Connecticut Social Equity Legislation Committee meeting. I'll start off by welcoming everyone that's here. Thanks for taking the time for being here for one. And then we'll get right into it. I'll call attendance and we'll go forward. Corey Betts, myself, I'm here. Andrea Comer, Greg Davis, Avery Gaddis,
Here.
Daniel Kopowitz, and Shirley Schuyler Thomas. That's our attendance. Being that all members aren't here, I'll table the approval of the March 26, 2025 committee meetings. I'll table that until next meeting. Is that okay? I guess so it is. Thank you. Um, Now I'll go right over to first giving it to our CEO of the Social Equity Council, Mr. Brandon McGee, to give his report.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Chairman Betts, and to our council members and the SEC staff. Welcome to the SEC Legislative Committee. This is our final meeting of 2025, and can't thank each and every one of you enough for your commitment and your support around our legislative matters. As we close out the year, I think it's extremely important that we really take a moment to just kind of settle in a lot of the legislative changes that occurred during the 2025 legislative session. We're still working toward implementing a lot of the newly revised legislative items from the previous session. And operationalizing those areas. I will say, as we gear up for the 2026 legislative session, SEC staff alongside SEC council members, we're all working in tandem alongside many of our stakeholders, but in particular, our social equity entrepreneurs to better understand some of their challenges that they've been having and what might come of that in terms of legislative changes. In addition to that, today, December 17th, the council, we had our maybe phase one wrap-up session of the Council Market Outlook Working Group. The Council Market Outlook Working Group was charged with exploring and developing recommendations on cannabis cultivation and DIAs, or effective areas, marketplace equity, and municipal relations. Not to mention or forget our youth champions as well. And we had a phenomenal day hearing from our committee chairpersons who volunteered their time to participate in the overall strategizing and organizing, and really just helping the SEC better understand from various stakeholders their recommendations. There will be more to come, but our goal and the intent of the working group, again, is to inform internal policies and procedures, and also potential legislative recommendations. So more to come on that. Those of you who are watching, you are welcome to join those committees. We'll have a link on our website for those of you who might be interested in being a part of phase two of the Council Market Outlook Working Group. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Christina Diamond, who will walk us through the summary of the Council's 2026 legislative proposal. I will say, just so that folks understand the process, we hear from our stakeholders. That includes SEC staff, SEC entrepreneurs, our council members, our legislators, and community writ large, right? And so we hear from those issues, from those stakeholders, and that informs a lot of our recommendations. Some of our recommendations will be solely around internal policies and procedures so that we can better execute on programs and initiatives administered by the SEC. Here you have 3 issues, one of which I've already discussed with you. That's issue 3. But Christina will provide some more detail around issues 1 and 2. Christina?
Yep, and I'll just add that all agency proposals are due October 1st, and our working group subcommittee meetings were meeting throughout the fall. So in our official legislative package, we proposed 2 changes, but as Brandon mentioned, the recommendations were talked about today at our wrap-up working group meeting, and we may add them into our legislative proposal later on. So our first proposal is to change the reporting frequency of mandated BPRC reports from monthly to quarterly. And you may recall during the 2024 legislative session, the legislature established a requirement for the council's executive director to report monthly to the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus the status of social equity and workforce development plans. And since that legislation has passed, council staff has cleared the backlog of social equity plans. And we believe transitioning to quarterly reports will allow us to provide a more comprehensive overview of our social equity initiatives while also continuing to maintain transparency with the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus. And our second proposal would allow the addition of backers to the cannabis establishment application between the initial application period and when final license is awarded to the establishment. So as the market evolves and business relationships change, social equity individuals may find themselves unable to finalize the application process without the financial support from additional backers. And so this proposal would create an opportunity for our social equity individuals to continue their business venture by adding new backers if initial backers leave the company. And this would be during the provisional period. Any questions?
Before we jump into questions, if you're okay with that, Mr. Chair, I would like to turn it over to the legal team if they just want to provide just a quick, brief update on hemp conversations and potential implications there, and also to reassure social equity entrepreneurs that we're very much a part of the conversation in the state and working alongside our partners at the Department of Consumer Protection, the Office of the Governor, Department of Agriculture, and other stakeholders around this issue. So Madi or Douglas, if you want to share.
I know that he's commuting, but he has been developing the expertise, the in-house expertise on the topic. So if he's available, I would like to give him the opportunity to speak, but if not, I'll do it.
Sure, no problem. Sorry that I'm, in commute, but can I be heard okay?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep, you're good.
Okay. So essentially, tucked into the bill that reopened the government, the administration put in place the original hemp guidelines set back in the 70s, which essentially says that any plant that produces 0.3 milligrams of THC at dry weight is now considered cannabis. What that means is that essentially a lot of the synthetic cannabis, THC-related cannabinoids are now going to be illegal. as well as any producers or growers that grow plants as such will be no longer under hemp guidelines, will be considered under cannabis guidelines, will be federally illegal, as well as, state guidelines out of compliance. What that means is there's roughly 60 hemp licenses active in the state. I think 8 of them are being used to capacity. Essentially, those farmers are not going to be able to produce any product under those guidelines. And there's some like talk about what's going to happen to them in the long run, because as you know, we have the ability to grow cannabis in this state is all sanctioned by the SEC, and anything that would have to be a transition for the hemp farmers would definitely encroach upon our territory in the space. So what we are trying to do is figure out the processes for what the market's going to look like. Like, what are the opportunities? What are the options? There's nothing that has been concretely mentioned or discussed, but they're just trying to gather information as the bill comes out and as the details about enforcement and et cetera enter into the legal world.
Thank you, Douglas. And there's one other piece that we did not put on our 3 columns here in terms of our official submission of proposals to the legislature. We had a conversation with, again, our partners over at DECP and the legislators' general law to share some more insights in terms of our investigatory authority we have as an organization here. And so, Madi, if you can just provide high level, our thoughts on that. And again, these are all pending, by the way. The 2 that you see on there is what we submitted, and we're still in conversation on the last 2 items, hemp and the investigative piece. Madi?
Sure, thank you. And thank you, Douglas. I'll just add to what Douglas was saying, just sort of to synthesize, right? The conversations around the hemp issue have been mostly around providing some sort of relief, right? That's the terminology that's being used. How do we provide relief to the hemp farmers? And we've understand that to mean that some folks are exploring an on-ramp into the cannabis industry, which would create significant disadvantages to those who went through the lottery process and have had difficulty, for example, in the case of cultivators, establishing their business by way of limited locations and limited resources. So that's one of the main issues that we're keeping a close eye on and trying to minimize the impact to our SEIs. Moving on to Brandon's point regarding investigatory powers, RARACA enables us to conduct investigations, hold hearings, and it provides us different powers to investigate violations of ownership and control around social equity cannabis establishments. We are seeking further clarification, although we feel that the statute affords us the ability to conduct investigations, develop a report, and refer violations to DCP for action against cannabis establishments that violated ownership and control requirements. So we are looking to clarify language to that end. As Brandon mentioned, we've spoken to DCP to start developing what that process would look like. But we've also had conversations with general law to further clarify the language and, if necessary, grant the agency more direct authority to conduct the investigations and make their corresponding referrals or hold our own hearings, right? DCP has investigations that are different from ours. They're more on the enforcement and searches and seizures and that sort of scope, if you would, whereas we're more into document review and seeing whether folks are complying with allowing the social equity owner to have control of the entity or to exercise their voting powers when decisions are made around what the entity will be doing and the types of agreements that they will enter or financial commitments that they will enter into. So that's where we stand. We've seen an uprise in folks questioning whether their agreements are being honored or not. As you know, some of our SEIs may or may not have the expertise when it comes to these corporate documents. A lot of them are legal documents that require some level of legal knowledge, I'll say, right, to interpret them, or some of them just don't have those documents anymore. They may have signed something that seemed appealing at the time, but no longer remember what the terms of those agreements were. So that's where we stand, right? Our focus is to empower the SEEs and to make sure that their backers abide by the law and not use SEEs as figureheads to receive benefits. So I'll close with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Marty and Douglas. I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Betts, for any questions, comments, concerns.
No, I think you all covered it. And thank you all for the great work that you continue to do. We have entrusted you all and to drive in this ship, so I'm good. If there's not anything else, I will entertain. Well, there's not even a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to adjourn.
Sounds good to the SEC staff.
All right, take care, everybody.
Hey,
Good meeting.
happy holidays to you all. Enjoy
holidays.
and continue to do the great work. I see you next year. You're doing even
All right,
better.
take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
And for the record, Council